everyone, so this video will start sculpting on the old man's head. Okay, and before we start, I just want to point out I put the front view here instead because I think this is a more important view, and then we will get to put our reference here side by side, and then we can sculpt easier. And a side view, I would position it within this line over here. So when we do our mouse clicks, it will not go outside here. So if you do your mouse clicks outside here, sometimes it doesn't work as well. Okay, so that's why I position it here like this. So just keep that in mind. Okay, I off my perspective distortion. I open up this head model under Lightbox project 8 planes over here, 8 planes, and I load up one of this. Resolution is 256, and then I'm gonna get started right now. Okay, so I'll position it over here, and then under PureRef, I'll just do a transparent to mouse clicks, Control T, and now I'll start to trace over parts of this. Okay, so maybe I'll use a red color this time. Scale it up a bit. Using my snake hook to nudge things around, and then I'm just focusing on the main shape and the silhouette. We don't want to set the dynamesh to be too high right now, and then we just want to use some of the default settings so that we can get the main shape right. So he's quite skinny, so I can push in a little bit more. It's gonna be fine. Then on the mouth area, I just want to make sure I can get this nose ridge so that it's pretty clear where the nose really is, as well as this eye area. Okay, so I think side view is good for now. Now I'll do the front view. So the front view is going to be wider for his head. And I'm keeping my symmetry on. I know that this photograph itself is not really symmetrical, but we will work most of this in symmetry as much as possible. Then we'll start changing it to be asymmetrical. You know, we'll start doing the asymmetrical parts at a later part. So I'm gonna make the neck much skinnier here. Then I'm gonna work on something like this. Okay, so I think I'm fine with that. Okay, so maybe I'll start to use this. I want to create a view whereby I can keep going back to this view. So I think it's really important that I stick to this view and then really match to it. I think it's pretty frontal, yeah. And then I'm not going to rotate a little bit more or less. I think maybe just a little bit. I'll rotate it like this a little bit because I'm looking at his face and his neck. The symmetry is going to be like this. So I'm just rotating it be a little bit 3/4. Then I'm gonna save this view. Okay, so how do I save this view? Press F5 on your hotkeys. Okay, if your F5 doesn't work, you can go to, you should be able to get this full window here. And then I just put a lot of useful shortcuts here. I teach them more next time. But mainly the really useful one when you press F5 is this set here, which is called the Z-Link viewport camera. And then custom view 1 and 2. Okay, so I actually created the shortcut key for custom view 1 and 2. So custom view 1 is F6 and custom view 2 is F7. Okay, so we can save 2 custom views, and then I think that is really useful for me. I can use it for my sculpting, and then I can always jump back to this view. So how it works is that, let's say I like this current view, and then I'm gonna press custom view 1. So it actually saves the view. So it's like a save stage. So it will save the view. Sorry, my alphabets is quite ugly, but I actually saved the view here. So every time I press F6, I'll jump back to this view. So the first time I press it, I'm gonna save the view. You see, use custom view 1, F6. Okay. So now that it's set, I can rotate around, I can do sculpting behind and front or whatever. But when I press F6, it's gonna snap back here. And I'm gonna start modifying the image from here. So every time I'm gonna use this F6 view to really match to my drawing, then I can go in and sculpt again. And maybe I can set another view, maybe a F7 view over here, maybe. So this one is on F7. So F6, F7, F6, F7, and I jump between these two views. So maybe later I want to change it. I don't know. And there are also other views that I can put, but for now I'll just use custom view 1 and 2. Okay. So if you're curious about default location, it's actually under here. Um, so it's under document, app link, and then there's custom view 1 and 2. So that's where I got them. Okay, so if you're curious about default location, it's under document, app link properties, custom view 1 and 2. Okay, but if I have my settings, you just press F5, you can load up this custom menu when you press F5, and then you can use custom view 1 and 2. If your F5 doesn't work, you can go to preference, config, just press restore custom UI. So it just refreshes the UI. So sometimes it doesn't work for me as well. And then I think it's just a glitch whereby maybe F5 has another default shortcut, but I also set it together with this interface. So maybe there's a conflict somewhere, but I don't care about the initial F5 shortcut, So that's why I don't mind having this. This is more useful for me. So whenever I press F5, I will get this whole menu here. Okay. So F5 custom view 1 is 1 and 2. Okay, so F6. Once I've set it already, I can use F6 and F7. I can jump between these two views. Okay. So maybe want to wait. Sorry, so my symmetry is not working. So I'm just making sure my symmetry is working. Okay, I want to bring it back to white color. Feels awkward to be doing on red color. I'm inflating some parts of this and gonna do a redynamish later. Okay, maybe this is also a good time to teach you about Sculptris Pro. So if you go to this button over here, right beside move, scale, rotate, and there's a Sculptris Pro mode. Press this button. So we can, when we are using Sculptris Pro mode, we can happily, it's like every brush stroke you are doing a redynamish sort of thing. You can keep sculpting and adding volume, and the software will just keep adding polygons here. So you just keep adding up according to your users. And so essentially, if you use Sculptris Pro mode, you don't need to dynamesh so much, probably. Okay, so this is something you can keep in mind. I'm just gonna do the traditional method though, because I'm not sure why just now I feel a bit laggy, so I don't want it to be so laggy. Feel free to use it if you want. The Sculptris Pro, like for example, if you start off with a ball, then you want to sculpt into a person's head, you can also use Sculptris Pro, and then you just keep building volume on it, and then you just keep adding up and then becoming something substantial in our modeling. Okay, so if you use Sculptris Pro, it can help you get to the range of the model without pressing Dynamesh over and over again. Okay, so you can have a go at that. For me, I'm just gonna start using my number 1 brush more. So I go over here. Here, kind of I want my view to be more like this. So I'm gonna adjust my view a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna say clear all views. And I'm gonna set the F6 here again because I just cleared the view. So I say clear the view and set F6 again, and then I'm gonna set another F7 again, F6, F7. Okay, so I'm just rotating it slightly. And number one brush. Start to push in and out of some areas, add volume. Let's activate Sculptris Pro. And I'm looking at all the wrinkles and all the lines that has a lot of nice details. Trying to get them all in to my sculpture. Start to do a bit of definition of the lips, mouth, eye bag. Current resolution now is 432 for Dynamesh. And you can go higher, you can go lower, it's up to you. But at the initial state, I think have a reasonable mesh that maybe is like 1 million plus. Then when you do some smoothing like this, you wouldn't feel that it's that difficult. So I would find it hard to smooth some of this because currently my mesh is actually 1.8 million. Okay, so some of these lines will be a little bit harder to smooth. But I can use my number 2 brush to try to smooth it. Hold down shift, 2 brush, polish a bit. Hold down shift, polish. Hold down shift. That's F6. Go back here. Nice. So I'll always go back to my F6 view, and then I'll add more sculpting to it. Getting the wrinkles at the top. There's a dog barking downstairs of my house. Not sure if you can hear it. Pretty loud. We want to try to fit in as much details as we can before we go and attack the asymmetrical parts. So just keep your focus on. Put your up crack intensity higher if you need to. Like go to 47, and gonna really slash in some of these details. It's my inflate brush, inflate some of these eye bags areas. And notice I'm zooming out a lot. I'm using only a small section of my window, and that's what I like to do. I look at my model from afar, and then I try to make it work from afar. When you zoom in later, then you start to add the close-up details, and you can always have a bigger overall picture of your image. I think it helps with the silhouette a lot. Put the draw size really thin, and I'm gonna snake hook some of this to be able to pull the eyebrow to make him have this undesirable, a bit disgusted expression, a bit frustrated almost, and then I'm gonna make the mouth muscle. You know, we must start to visualize the mouth muscle and his expression. That's why we can make him look like our model. Okay, so it's starting to come together. Take some time, then have some patience. Keep looking at him from afar. We don't need to keep changing the views. You see, I'm gonna stick to this view, and I can do a zoom in as well to look at him. Mainly, I prefer to work on him zoom out for sure. So much easier for me. It's my number one brush, and then I'm gonna go back and forth a little bit, add volume here, adding some volume, and I noticed that I'm starting to notice his nose shape. He's actually got a huge nose. Maybe he's a very rich guy. People say that people with huge nose, like Jackie Chan, like got money. Yeah. So yeah, just saying, a bit off topic, but maybe. Hmm. Carve some of these deeper lines on the faces, and then I want to get this. Part behind the nostril. Not sure what muscle is that. Wish I know about all the muscle names and I can show off to you guys, but unfortunately I don't. But I do know that when I'm drawing, like I know those are the muscles that we need to take note of. So this muscle behind the nose, so important. Okay, smooth some of this area. It's number 6. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna redynamish it. I'm gonna add a bit detail here. Let me examine this area. Okay, so that's what's happening. Okay, my bad. I shouldn't let this happen. That's not actually what I want. Okay, so now I need to do a bit of damage control. It's okay. I inflate that area. Use my number 2 brush. Wasn't super serious. So inflate and then number 2, and then I'm gonna do a redynamish on this area, and it's gonna be okay. So you need to be able to know when to repair some areas if you need to. So I'm just gonna use number 1 brush. Okay, I'm gonna use number 5. Push it outwards more. Okay, number 1. Okay, now I'll do this part again. 6 brush. Yep. This is much better. It's my 7 to pinch. Pinch is also really useful. On the old man's face, we can really pinch a lot of those details. I'm gonna use my number 1 brush. Push in on the eye area. Push, push, push. No, F6. 7. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I know exactly where the shape of the eye is. The eyelids. and the bottom part of the eye. I'm gonna have this control over there. I'm gonna polish it. Okay, so maybe I'll stop the first video here. So, okay, you can keep doing. Then I'll see you on the next video where we start to build up even more details on him. Alright, see you. Bye.